The Liberals had already been criticized for their handling of trade negotiations, and the Bloc wanted to make sure that Quebec's interests weren't left on the negotiating table. It's almost laughable how Trudeau seems to think appeasing global markets is more important than protecting local industries, especially when it's Quebec's hard-working farmers who will bear the brunt of his decisions.
Because, as Blanchet pointed out, in order to defeat this parliament, bring it to an end, parliament has to work. And they clarified that they are not prepared to work with the Liberals to bring that kind of filibustering to an end.
Blanchet's warning was crystal clear. If the Liberals failed to meet this deadline, the Bloc would no longer offer their support, and they'd team up with the NDP and Conservatives to bring down the government. The message was blunt and unforgiving. Pass the bills, or the Liberals were out of luck. And let's be honest, Blanchet wasn't the only one who felt the weight of this ultimatum. The public had grown tired of Trudeau's inability to meet demands and follow through on promises, especially when it came to issues that directly affected Quebec. Trudeau's handling of this situation was nothing short of disappointing, showing just how out of touch he is with the needs of his own country's citizens. Instead of finding common ground, he's become the king of delays and broken promises. It's almost as if he'd rather play politics than do what's right for Canadians. Trudeau's popularity has taken a nosedive. The once charismatic leader, who rode into office with high hopes and promises of a new political era, now seems to be floundering in the face of mounting challenges. From his failure to meet the Bloc Québécois' demands to the constant barrage of scandals, it's hard to ignore the fact that his grip on power is slipping.
Opposition have a role. We have something to do. This is the way a parliament works. So saying that being government is godlike, being in opposition is nothing, like both Mr. Duclos and Mr. Poilievre seem to say those days.
How long can Trudeau keep pretending that his government is functioning smoothly when the cracks are so obvious? It's no wonder people are starting to see through his hollow promises. The public's growing dissatisfaction isn't just about these latest political standoffs. It's about the sense that Trudeau's leadership is increasingly out of touch and ineffective. The longer this drags on, the more obvious it becomes that Trudeau's days as Prime Minister might be numbered.
This bill is in front of the Senate right now. The government has already said yes to it. In fact, Trade Minister Mary Ng specifically wrote to senators and said, please get a move on, please pass this, please get it done.
If the Bloc Québécois succeeds in their mission to bring down the government, the fallout for Trudeau could be disastrous. A collapse of his government would not only mark the end of his leadership, but could also trigger a domino effect that weakens the Liberal Party for years to come. If the opposition parties, led by the Bloc, managed to create a coalition strong enough to oust Trudeau, it would send a powerful message to the rest of the country about the discontent with his leadership.
And if being in opposition is useless, I will say that the Conservatives have been useless for 9 years, and that the Liberals might become useless soon.
The Bloc, however, doesn't seem to care much for this criticism. For them, Quebec's seniors come first, even if it means pushing the government to spend beyond its means. Trudeau might argue about fiscal responsibility, but it's clear that he doesn't mind running up the deficit when it suits his political interests. The Bloc's position on this issue is unyielding. They're not backing down on their demand that the bill pass as is, no changes, no amendments. For them, this is a matter of principle. Quebec's needs must be addressed, even if it causes a political storm. They're willing to take the risk of bringing down the government to make sure this bill and the future of Quebec's seniors isn't left hanging in the balance.